So I just watched Dragon Ball GT Episode 4, and to my surprise, the Don Kia storyline is still going on. I thought they would just walk in, beat everybody up, and that would be it, but things are continuing on, apparently. So, before the episode starts, they try to use instant transmission in order to get to the ship. But what confused me was that in order to use instant transmission, Goku needs to lock onto a key signature, and I don't think the spaceship has a key signature. And they even mention that, you need to find a key signature in the episode. So that was just weird. Like, do things have, like, it's an inanimate object? I don't know. Like, I don't understand. I thought like only life forms could have ki, but I don't know. But this sets up, importantly, that Goku can no longer use instant transmission. And I found this is another one of those things, like, I feel like I've said this a million times already, but I can see where they're coming from and their intention, but it doesn't quite make sense. So, like I said last episode, in terms of power scaling, I would find it very difficult to believe that these characters would struggle against Don Kia and company. But at the same time, I'm willing to grant leeway to them because Goku is now a kid, and so I would believe that he's not able to be as strong as he was as an adult. And this is something that they're showing us where now that Goku's a kid, he can no longer do instant transmission, but I find that very weird because, like, that's the sort of technique where, like, I don't know why age would really play into it. Like, if he struggles going Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2 or Super Saiyan 3 or something like that, then I would be like, okay, well, maybe you can connive some sort of way for it to be a struggle for him, maybe as a kid. Or, like, maybe, like, he can't, like, key attacks might be more difficult. Maybe, like, I'm willing to grant leeway on things like that. But instant transmission, I just find it very odd that would be something Goku wouldn't be able to do now that he's a kid. Like, out of all of the abilities he has, I just find it very weird that that's one he can't use now, because it just doesn't seem like something that you really need, like, a super muscular adult body to do, and so I just don't get it. I also don't understand why they said let's use instant transmission to go to the ship when they can just fly there, but whatever. So they find the ship. Don Kia was about to scrap it, but they get to the ship. They try the stealth method, but they're basically immediately found out. And, on a side note, last episode I mentioned that Pan, I was worried that she would become annoying if she was in danger and cried too often and stuff like that. And in this episode, she got, like, hit in the head with, like, a tin can and almost burst out crying. And I'm really hoping this isn't, like, an indicator of what her character is going to be like going forward, because I don't want her to be a perfect character or anything, but like a small little tin can, are you serious? Like, you're a trained martial artist, you, like, so, like, strong, you're able to beat up guys, but, like, a tin can hitting you on the head, really? That's something that, like, causes you to cry? It's just, like, it's ridiculous. But so, as I predicted, they were able to beat up all the guards without any struggle at all. And they take their ship back and they escape. And here's what was interesting and a bit confusing. So at one point, Goku fires a Kamehameha wave, or a Kamehameha, while they're escaping. And there it's revealed that Don Kia has a third hired security guard who's like a super serious guy. I can't remember his name, but he, like, you can tell he's like, this is the serious one, you know what I mean? And this guy, like, he thinks to himself, are they Saiyans? And, like, what confused me about that scene is that, like, the scene seemed to imply that because, like, it was the way the scene was portrayed, Goku fires the Kamehameha, this guy sees it and he thinks, oh, are they Saiyans? And, like, I was a bit confused because, like, the Kamehameha wave is not a signature Saiyan attack. Like, if you saw their faces and, like, how they appeared, then I would be like, okay, that makes sense as, like, and that was what triggered him to go, like, oh, are these Saiyans? That would make sense to me. Because they are Saiyans. They look exactly like Saiyans. The only difference is that they don't have tails. But I just found it very odd that it seemed like the way the scene was being played, it seemed to indicate that it was the Kamehameha wave that this guy was using to identify that these were Saiyans. But minor quibble, just something weird I noticed. But this guy, I cannot remember his name. Like, he does not have he was mentioned like once in the episode, and it's not a super memorable name. I'm sorry. But you can tell that this is the serious guy that, like, they're playing up to be a dangerous threat for Goku and company. So after that, like, Goku and everyone, like, gets wanted posters because they're, like, and they're, like, these, like, mock-ups to make them look evil and stuff. And the police arrive. And, like, Pan's like, no, we can't fight him. We shouldn't fight him. And I'm like, well, you really wouldn't, it wouldn't hurt to fight them. You know what I mean? Like I know that, like, their implication is like if you were okay beating up the security guards at Don Kia's place, I don't know why you would have qualms with beating up these police officers who are very obviously also working for the same villain. Like, I don't know what the moral qualm is here. But now they're wanted, and the episode ends on the cliffhanger from them running from the police, which isn't really a cliffhanger because we all know that these police don't stand a chance against these three characters. But, you know, whatever, I guess. But that's the episode in a nutshell. Yeah, I'm surprised that this arc, I guess if you call it a miniature arc, this little storyline, I'm surprised it's lasting as long as it has. Like, I expected this episode to be, they go to Don Kia's place, they beat everyone up, and bada bing, bada boom, that's it. But instead, they're like, this is like, I guess it's the middle-ish, or maybe the end of the first half, maybe, because you know there's going to be some sort of big fight with the serious security guard guy. But yeah, I'm trying to think of whether or not I'm enjoying this and that I'm invested. I'm not quite sure, because, like, this storyline, it's not like overly fun, but it's not like overly serious. It's like, I'm trying to think of a way to describe it, like the tone. And that's something I know I bring up tone a lot, but it's true because, like, Dragon Ball had started out with a lighthearted tone and it got darker and darker and darker as it went along. And at the end of Z, it was like, okay, we're at, well, I mean, and then in Z it got really, like, super serious. And then in the Majin Buu saga, because Toriyama had complete creative control, like, the tone was all over the place. It was, like, big and dramatic and serious, and also really goofy at the same time. And so, like, that brings up the question of, like, what do we do with GT? Because you can't just keep going and making things more and more and more and more and more serious while also just continually increasing the stakes forever. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, you need to at least try and continue on some sort of I cannot speak today. You at least need to try and continue on some sort of trajectory from the previous series. So it's like, it's a difficult position these writers are in. I am not unsympathetic to these writers. I can understand that it was a struggle to, you know, try and do something with GT. But at the same time, you know, it's like, I guess I am interested to see where things are going and what they're going to do with it. And I don't, like, this is the sort of plot line which would have worked a lot better during the early days of Dragon Ball Z, you know what I mean? Because, like, the whole thing, the big part of Dragon Ball Z was like, okay, now space is on the table. And then they sort of wasted that opportunity by going directly to the top in terms of, like, the emperor of space. And I know there's a king of space, like a king of the universe or whatever in Dragon Ball Super, but, you know, at the time, Frieza was presented as the top, the king of space, because he's the strongest. And so they sort of wasted their opportunity. They could have had a lot of fun adventures in space, but they sort of, like, skipped right to the end there in terms of what they could do with space, really. And so now, whenever they do stuff like, and this is not just a GT thing, but like going to space in GT, or the Galactic Prisoner arc in Super, which just wrapped up, like, these are things which I feel like would have worked better as something in Z. Because if you're doing this as an arc in Dragon Ball Z, then it's like, well, we haven't gotten to the top of everything yet. You know what I mean? Like at the end of Dragon Ball Z, like, the gods can't solve this. It's up to Goku and Vegeta. So it's like, running into random stuff in space. Now, after all of that, it doesn't hold, like, it's not dramatic or holding one's attention as much as it could be if it was placed earlier in the timeline. At least that's how I feel about it. So once again, we'll wait and see, or I'll wait and see, because you either are along with this trip with me, or have maybe already seen GT, I don't know. But that's my thoughts on GT Episode 4. Again, I'm sort of in limbo. I'm not hating it. I'm not loving it. I'm just along for the ride. And I guess I'll be interested to see what they do to how they wrap up things. You know what I mean?